happen this quickly. You guys caught my previous video where I showcased a first look at the upcoming folding iPhone Ultra, whatever they're gonna call it, this booklet passport style form factor. I compared it to some folding Pixel devices that were close, but this was still stubbier. Anyway, in that video, I told you I might receive an even more polished version of this upcoming folding iPhone. And I think that's what's in this box right here. I just didn't expect it to come this quickly, so hopefully it can verify the dimensions and give us just an even better idea of what it's going to be like to handle this iPhone Fold, iPhone Ultra Fold, folding iPhone Ultra, whatever it is that we're gonna call it. And I just wanna remind you, I have no idea how many more of these I might receive or if I'll get models for the upcoming iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max. All right, so where am I even gonna cut this thing? It could be it's light though. Feels maybe too light. Oh, no, I think it is what I think it is. Whoa, holy. Wow, that is what it's gonna be like. That's what it's gonna look like with an actual display. Obviously, the back as well to match up with the current generation of iPhone with this panel and your Apple logo. The cameras are obviously a lot more finished on this model. Our buttons up top for volume. It's amazing how different it feels already just having this display representation here. $350 off. This display representation here. It's still going to be awkward. I can reach these places, but it's just not natural for one-handed. Got our Type-C on the bottom and obviously our power and other buttons here on the side. And then antenna bands have been added to this particular model. But here is the magic moment. Well, they could have done this better, no? That is what your unfolded look will be once there's a screen in there. And obviously without this hinge in the center because you'll have a folding display here, but that's how big it's gonna be. Much like I said on the previous video, and by the way, Wobble Fest is still there. This one is showcasing a front-facing camera in the top corner, which is interesting. We didn't have an indication of that on the previous model. Now, these two things line up exactly. Or not. Wait a minute. I take that back. They're a little different. The new model is much more slender. It's also ever so slightly wider. Weird. Now I don't know which one is completely legit or not. Does it make much of a difference? No, not really. But it ends up a little taller as well. It's so slight, guys. It's so subtle. Who knows? Less than a millimeter of difference in height, slightly longer. The overhead does a better job of showing this. It's a little more slender, this new model that I got. I don't know who to trust. I would say the fact that we have two different makers here in a very similar territory tells us about as much as we need to know about the form factor in general, with some slight opportunity for subtle differences, but aspect ratio is effectively the same. Camera bulge has shrunk a little bit on this new model that I got. This one showcases front-facing cameras, but in corners, which is odd considering the fact that we have dynamic islands and things on existing phones. You would think it would be centralized. And then they did the same thing here. So I'm not certain about the accuracy here. For the purpose of this video, is just a better understanding and visual representation of how this form factor plays when you have an actual display to look at. And I can't believe I didn't think about this in the previous video. There was the other device that Microsoft was rumored to make, the Courier, I think it was called, which was more like a notebook. Look at this old photo here. Whenever I think about new form factors, for some reason my mind goes to the Courier, because back then in 2011 or whenever it was, that felt extremely futuristic. And the Duo, what was the form factor of the Duo, or the aspect ratio? It was two 5.6-inch displays opening to 8.1 inches. Two 5.6-inch displays. Ooh, not too far off. 5.3? Not too far off. Who was Apple inspired by here? I mean, it's obviously a bit bigger, but you look at that. That one still looks taller and this one looks a little fatter. It's in the wheelhouse, guys. One thing I like about this particular model is how much thinner it got. This is now much thinner. If it actually ends up being this thin, it would be quite the achievement. 4.6 millimeters. And if I bring in iPhone Air measurements, 5.76. 677. And then this new model here for the Fold or the Ultra. Ooh, 4.72. The original one that I got, 5.68, a lot more like the Air. I don't know which one is accurate, but in the unfolded state, you're basically looking at the thinnest iPhone that's been made. And if it lines up with this particular model, then we're talking something crazy because this thing is extremely thin. Look at that. That's got to be one of the thinnest that we've seen. And that helps when you're in sandwich mode because sandwich mode brings you almost to Pro. You see what I mean? That is not far. If they are able to get it this thin, that's an achievement. Just barely thicker than a 17 Pro. 9.18 millimeters over here. And on the Pro, 8.8. I mean, wishful thinking that these guys are close with this particular design. I don't know if I'm confident. For some reason, I feel it will be closer to this guy, the original one that I featured. If you haven't seen that video, you can go check the measurements on this guy in that video. But because this particular model has the imagery and gives you a presentation of a background or a wallpaper, gives you a better understanding of how this is gonna look and feel to hold, even if some of the dimensions are going to change slightly in the final product. That's you, that's what you're gonna look like. That everybody's gonna know is different than all the other iPhones. And like I said in the previous video, this form factor lends itself to the pocket because it's not too tall. You don't need a super deep pocket to get it in. Look at that. Anyway, this is you in the future. If you're an Apple fan, this is you in the future. You're doing this, and then you're doing this, and then you're watching YouTube like that, and you're gonna have some black bars. But maybe you're gonna be doing multitasking. Maybe it's gonna be a dual display setup. Maybe some Microsoft Duo inspiration for anybody that remembers it, or early Pixel inspiration with this form factor, or maybe it's just about aspect ratios and iPads and trying to deliver some sort of iPad-like experience without having too much variety in aspect ratios folded or unfolded. Maybe that's what's going on. But look at this thing. That is your best look yet at what that upcoming iPhone Ultra, iPhone Ultra Fold, iPhone 18 Ultra Fold, whatever they call it. That's your best look yet. Is this even possible? Like, this is just a model, so we're allowed to ask questions, right? Can you have the camera, like, first of all, this is on Apple-like, right, to put it in the corner. I mentioned that earlier. But then if you open it, there's another camera right there, like directly back to back, here and here. So 2 displays and 2 cameras, you know, wedged together in such a small area. Are they gonna do that? Can they do that? I'm starting to become a little more skeptical. I'm less skeptical about the overall form factor, but some of these details, I have my questions. And you probably do too.